If you travel with more than one bag, you're doing it wrong. I'm such an overpacker, and it's honestly embarrassing.
This UGC creator that you see in this video ad is not real. And in the next few minutes, I will show you step by step exactly what I did to create this video ad. Honestly, so many of the YouTube tutorials on how to use AI to create ads has been very underwhelming, and I haven't really been able to use any of them because I work with clients on a day-to-day basis, and we don't want to use ads that very obviously look like AI. So I've spent months scouting the internet and really learning what tools are available today to create ads that actually look real, because you shouldn't use ads that look super AI if you want to protect your brand reputation. Now, this method that I will show you actually works, and I'm not just saying that. I've actually generated millions in revenue for my clients using this exact method. So with that being said, let's get into it. So as an example to show you how we do this, I will use a brand. This is not a client of ours, but that's exactly why I'm using them as example as well, because we can't show you the behind the scenes of our own clients, unfortunately. But this is a good example. I recently also made a case study video on this brand, so have some context on them. So it's a perfect example to start with. So this is the process we're going to follow. If you want to get access to this flowchart, I will leave a link in the description as well. But the first part is to make sure that we get great outputs from AI, and that is doing the research and gathering context. So there's a couple of documents you need to gather. So the first one is a brand context and creative brief. It should be a PDF file. And to get that, you can use this prompt as I've put in here. So essentially what we can do, we can just go ahead and just copy this full prompt. Then we can go into ChatGPT. And then what you want to do, you want to click here and select the deep research model and then paste in the prompt. And then you need to fill in brand name. So in my case, this would be Tropic Feel. Now, of course, if you're doing this for your own brand, then you already have these documents probably, and you have a lot of context that you can use. But if you don't, then this is how I would do it. And then you just put in the prompt, and then it's going to give you a creative brief and a brand research report. So it's asking us to give some more context. So I'm just going to say we're going to use it for marketing campaign, and then now it will go and do the research for us. Now this is going to take some time, so I've already done this process. I'm just going to X out from here and I'll show you the document that I got. So this is the brand context and creative brief document that I got. It has a lot of details that will help us get better outputs, and this is essential to do this process properly. So the next file that you can get is reviews and customer feedback. So I've created an SOP for how you can turn Trustpilot reviews into a CSV file and upload that to GPT. So if you want to get access to that, the full process step by step is with the link in the description. So we could go into Tropic Feel's Trustpilot. You see they have almost 20,000 reviews, so there's a lot of valuable feedback we can use. Then we can download this as a CSV, and we can then upload that into GPT. And if Tropic Feel was my competitor, I could use the negative reviews, the most common ones, and use them to create ad angles, right? So the people that might be interested in the product, but they have some issues that are very specific, then we can make ad angles that kind of tap into those concerns and then steal over the demand from Tropic Feel onto our business instead. Now, if Tropic Feel is my client, then I would just use this to focus on the things that people like the most and try to understand the main reasons on a deep level for why people are purchasing product. So I've already created this CSV, so I'm not going to do that now. But again, to get the full SOP step by step how to do it, just check the link in the description. Now, another thing you can do, which we have done for our clients, is actually scraping all of the comments from ads that have a lot of engagement. Based on that, we can see what people are saying, the concerns they're potentially having, or the things that are very happy about the product. Because very often you will have existing customers commenting on ads, or people that have already tried your product commenting on your ads, and there is a lot of engagement there. So if you have hundreds of comments, then you can scrape all of those using this Apify script here. And I think you can use it for free at least a couple of times before you have to pay. But yeah, you can put in the post URL from your own ads and then get all of those comments into a CSV file, which also could be useful context to get better output from AI. Now, the last file you will want to get is a performance report. And this is just like an overview, best performing ads, like what those ads are tapping into, the different type of hooks and concepts that these ads are tapping into, the audiences that are performing the best, etc., etc. You want to add as much context as possible, especially if you're looking to make iterations of your best performers with AI. So go into meta ads, look at internal reporting or other reporting tools if you have that. I've already done a complete case study on this brand. If you want to see that case study, the link to that video is also going to be in the description. So I'm not going to take you through that now, but I've created a full case study report on that brand with all of their best performing marketing angles and all that stuff. So I already have that context. Now, when we have all of this context, the next step is ideation. So we want to dig deep to find relevant ideas that we can use for ad concepts and ad angles. So as you can see, I have a source here, and that's essentially 100 different ad angle document that I've built out that has the type of angle, the description of that angle, the use case, the pros and the cons, the recommended length, the content format, variations, the psychological triggers, and the example hook lines next to them. Now, I have built this full ad angle database into to my creative strategist. So when I copy this prompt over here and put it into this GPT, it's going to already use that database. So I'm also leaving the link to this creative strategist GPT that you can use in the description below. So I'm just going to specify what I want add angles for. Tropic, feel, pack. And then I'm going to upload all of the documents that I have from the researching phase. So now we're going to get some ad angles that we could tap into. So number one is do more with less. Best airline system. This one is very specific. Travel like a local, not a tourist. Interesting one. I didn't actually like any of them. So let's try some that are tapping into first person story instead. Carry-on hack angle, one bag every trip. I like this one for top of funnel. This one would probably work very well because this is like the main proposition of these backpacks. Tropic Feel have a lot of different products, but the main thing is just being able to minimize how much you're traveling with. And this wardrobe system is very, very popular. I know that from the research. So let's see if you find any angles here that taps into that. So I like one bag every trip angle. So I like this angle right here. So now I picked the concept, and you can pick multiple concepts if you want to, but I'm just going to go with one for this example now. So the next thing we're going to do is actually go into another AI. So that one is Claude. And if you don't know Claude, it's much better than GPT at actually creating copy. And especially since we're going to create a voiceover now, I want it to be very human-like and not that GPT style format. So now I'm just going to copy all of this, paste it into Claude, and below that, I want to paste in the prompt that I have from my system here. Now I'm also going to add the creative brief that we've created. And now it's going to want us to specify the insert chosen concept, right? So here, let's tell it concept. We didn't fully understand that, so let's add that again. Length, I want to make it 10 to 15 seconds. And then who we're targeting, definitely young travelers, digital nomads, backpackers. That's exactly who I want to target. So audience, that in. And now let's see if we can make something for us. Now we have a script. I never thought I'd say this, but my backpack literally unpacks itself. Okay, so that's a good hook already. So I don't need to add on another hook. If the first sentence in this voiceover script isn't like very intriguing and building curiosity or hooking in and grabbing attention, then I would tell it to create a hook. What we can also do is create variations of the hook. The first sentence, and then it can give us a couple of variations until you find one that you like and one that aligns with the product or the offer. So this one I liked, personal and emotional. I wish I discovered this backpack years ago. Use this one and give me full script for voiceover. So what I always pay close attention to is kind of reading through the script and making sure word by word it is written in a way a human would talk, because that's really, really important. If reading it doesn't feel like it would be the exact same way a human would talk, then I would just tell Claude to make it more authentic, like an actual human would speak. And usually after I add that prompt, it's going to give me one that is a little bit more word by word how a person would actually talk. So I like this one, but I just don't like this part. Place with something more chill. All right, this one looks better. So now you have two options. So we could either start by selecting the voiceover and then find an AI actor that matches nicely with that voiceover. Or we can actually go option one and first select the character and then build out the character and add a voice that matches that character. So this just depends on what you prefer. I usually like to start with the voiceover and then find an actor, but sometimes I would do it the other way around as well. So the tool I use to actually create the voiceover is something called 11 Labs. It is one of the best tools out there right now. Honestly, I haven't found anything that's better than this, so I would highly recommend using that. Now there's two options for using 11 Labs. We could either do voice to voice. So if I want to control the tonality of how this script sounds, then I can actually read the script, but I would actually talk it. I wouldn't like read it like a script. I would try to talk it like a human would talk. And then you can record your audio here and then switch that into a different voice. Now what I found is that the text to speech is so good right now that it's actually very often better, at least for me, to just use text to speech with the new V3 alpha model in 11 Labs. So I've already selected the voice here, Chris, but you can go through and listen to these different voices and find one that matches nicely with the audience that you want to target. So I want to target the male audience right here. So what I'm going to do is just select Chris, and then I'm going to paste in the script that we made and generate speech. All right, so we got generation 1 and generation 2. So you have two alternatives to choose from. So I would listen to both and just select the one you like the most. Now under stability here, we can actually select how we want the tonality to be. So if you want it to be be more stable and precise, you would make this one robust. If you want it to be more creative, a little bit more emotional, you would go to the creative side here. So let's actually recreate this because I want this to tap more into the emotional aspects since it is a first person story being told here. So let's recreate with the creative and see how that sounds. Right, I like this a lot more. It's way more emotional. The tonality is way more human. So if we look at generation 2 as well, let's see how this sounds.
I wish I'd discovered this backpack years ago. So I just pull this thing out and suddenly all my clothes are hanging up like I have an actual closet. I used to spend like 10 minutes digging around for stuff and my clothes would be all wrinkled and gross. Now I just hang this up and everything's right there. Plus I can fit way more stuff in my bag, which is honestly a game changer. I don't know why it took me so long to find something like this, but I'm definitely never going back to regular backpacks.
I like number 2 better, so I'm going to download this one. So I'm now inside ArcAds and I'm going to create a new project, and then I'm going to select speech to speech, and then we're going to use this 11 Labs voiceover, put it in here, and then I'm going to select an actor. So I want to have a male actor, so I'm going to select male, and then I'm going to select one that I really like, that I've tested before, that looks really nice, and that is this one right here. So Matthew, then we're going to add actor, and then you're going to simply press this button and then generate video. Now ArcAds isn't the cheapest thing in the world. It does cost a little bit, about $10 per video. So if you want to use one of the pro actors that they have, it's going to cost quite a bit more, but it works the absolute best. There's no better tool out there that I've found so far. So you can trust that this will be worth it. And I mean, if you compare this to, hiring an actual UGC actor, then it just doesn't come close. Like, this is so much cheaper. So I've already done this process with a slightly different script. So I'm actually going to show you this one instead of waiting for this one to be generated. So I already have this one here created, but it's a slightly different script. So I'll show you what it looks like here.
If you travel with more than one bag, you're doing it wrong. I'm such an overpacker and it's honestly embarrassing. Last month I went to Portugal and I was dragging around this huge suitcase, plus my camera bag, plus this random tote bag for all my stuff. I looked absolutely ridiculous at the train station. My friend kept making fun of me the whole time. Then she shows me her Tropic Feel shell backpack and I was like, wait, that tiny thing actually fits everything you need? It turns out it expands to double the size when you need it to. And it has this wardrobe system inside that keeps everything organized. I got one for my Barcelona trip and it was honestly a game changer. Just one bag on my back instead of looking like I was moving apartments or something.
All right, so this is a slightly different script. I did this earlier today because I don't want to wait for this video to be generated. So the next thing I'm going to do is download this one, which I've already done. And then you want to head over to your video editing software. So I use CapCut. So I went through and found a bunch of B-roll here. As you can see, I took this from Tropic Feel's ad library and downloaded it. And then I found some clips from TikTok. Now I will never use this ad. This is just an example for you guys. So I don't have the rights to all of this content. So just make sure that you actually have the rights to use the content that you're using. But since I'm making this example for another brand, I don't have all of that B-roll in-house. So I just found some different stuff online. Now the next trick that I did was, as you can see here, I have the sections where it seems very real, where I'm just focusing on the AI actor itself. Then when it looks a little bit less real, so if I hide this part here, so for example here, I thought it looked a little bit too AI-ish. So for that part, I've added some B-roll on top. So let's run it from the start to show you what it looks like. And the next trick that works really well, if it looks a little bit too AI-ish, is selecting the clip, and then what you can use here is the remove background function, which I've done here, which removes the background. And then I can make him smaller and put him in the corner with B-roll in the background. When he is smaller, it's harder to see that the lips aren't fully 100% synced with the audio. And also the attention from the viewer is more on the B-roll. So it's very hard to actually notice that this is AI. And then we go back to the part where it looks a little bit real and we show the actor again. But if you add some background music as well, that helps it flow and just it's harder to pick up that it's AI. So this is the finished product, very easy to use. Now the thing I've also done here is that I've removed the dead space. So when you get the completed video from ArcAds, there's going to be some sections where there's just a split second of dead space. You want to remove that to make sure it flows nicely. And that's what I've done here. So it takes a bit of time. I don't want to do that on this tutorial. It's very simple to do. So let me actually show you how I did this. So add it in here and then you will see that there are some sections around here where there is some dead space. So for example, there's like almost half a second, right? So for here, you would definitely want to make sure cut that dead space away, and you will just continue that process throughout the whole video, and then it's going to flow way nicer. Now also, just to show you how to remove the background, let me add some B-roll here. So let's do this B-roll right here, and then what you want to do is you want to actually add him on top with the B-roll below, and then the next step is basically removing the background. So just wait a little bit and then will be automatically removed. Right now you see the background is removed. The next step is just making him smaller and put him down in the corner here. So that's how you do that. And also to add captions, very simple. Just go to captions, generate, and then you can select a couple different variations of how you want to display the captions. So what you can do here is go to templates. Let's say I would want to use this one, right? And then it looks like this. Right? That's how you can edit this. And then of course, want to add some audio too. Let's add some vlog audio. That's usually the nice background audio that I found in CapCut. So I chose this one, put it down below here, and then make sure you put the audio like pretty low, -17, I think should be good. And there you go. And then you can just mix and tricks and edit and put on the B-roll that you want, and then you have an ad ready to go. Now this is the exact process that we use for our clients, and it generates amazing results. Now if you use content like this together with the whitelisting method that I've made a video about before, where you actually run the add-on method through a page that isn't your own brand name, then this creator and this content is not going to be directly associated with your brand as much as if you run this ad through your own Facebook page. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can essentially set up multiple Facebook pages, link that to your business manager, and run ads through them in your own ad account. So that works extremely well. We got an amazing ROAS for some of our clients doing that method. And it's also a nice add-on, especially if you use content that you might be a little bit unsure about and you want to make sure you really protect your brand reputation, even though this seems 100% real. You can definitely use that method together with this, and it will probably work extremely well for you. Now to test these ads, we use the top of funnel evergreen structure, and it works extremely well. So you want to have one scaling campaign in your ad account. That would be an Advantage plus sales campaign, and you would have probably around 60 to 80% of your account budget on this campaign. You want to use either highest volume, or you can also use cost per sold goal or ROAS goal as a bid strategy. Then you just have one ad set, broad targeting, exclude existing customers, and within here you want to have between 10 to up to 50 ads active. Now next to this campaign, what you want to have is a testing campaign, and this is where we would test this new content. Also, if you're using the whitelisting Facebook page method, you would use that within this campaign. So for this campaign, you probably have about 20 to 40% of your account budget. This one is very important. You put as a CBO, so the algorithm can distribute your budget for this campaign across the different batches that you're launching. And then the bid strategy here would be highest volume, because we want to push spend every week, every day into these tests that we're doing. Okay, so we launch new batches weekly for our clients, and here you also do broad targeting, excluding existing customers, and every new batch of ads we usually do between 4 to 6. You can do all the way up to 20 if you're able to create that many ads. And it's very important that you launch those in separate ad sets every time. You can have a lot of ad sets in here, so don't worry too much about deleting ad sets or turning them off. Over time, if they're getting spend and not hitting your target, then definitely turn them off. But if it's just not getting spend, then just let it sit in there and be patient. Now over time you will find some winners, and by winners I mean they're hitting your target cost per sold or cost per acquisition, CPA, or your ROAS, but it's also getting volume of spend. So these results are reliable. Now when you find winners, what you do is you promote that ad into the scaling campaign, and it's very important here that you duplicate the ad ID to make sure that all of the social engagement that has been built on this ad, so all of the comments that you got on the ad, all of the likes and all the engagement comes through when you put it in this scaling campaign. And then you put it in here, and what will happen when you do this process over and over again is that you find multiple different variations and multiple different concepts that are proven to get you results. And when you have a bunch of those in the scaling campaign, this scaling campaign can tap into so many different segments within that broad audience, because yes, we are going broad here, and the targeting today with Meta is with the ads and the creative themselves. And that is why we want to have so many active ads at the same time. The whole notion that you should have one winning ad or two winning ads is not relevant anymore. To scale with Meta today, you need creative diversity, and that means ads that tap into different personas within your broad audience. So for Tropic Fill, now we created one ad that is probably targeted best towards males below 30 or between 30, 35, something like that. Now, the next batch of ads I would create might tap into a totally different part of the audience. Might be female travelers, might be a younger demographic, might be an older demographic, right? And when we have all of that creative diversity, that is when the new meta algorithm can really, really shine, because over time it will become super, super effective at matching these ads with relevant users on Facebook and Instagram. And that will allow you to scale, because now you have so many powerful winning ads within the scaling campaign that you give Meta all of the assets necessary to really tap into the power of Meta's algorithm. And this is the exact method we're using to scale this brand here. So just to show you an example, you can see that the scaling campaign here has the highest budget. It has a cost per result goal, so we're protecting profitability by telling Meta the profitability that we need. And then we're also every day pushing in spend into this testing campaign where we have multiple ad sets active. So you see some of these are white labeling ad sets where we're not using the brand's own Facebook page, but we're running it through a third-party Facebook page. But then we also have other batches, and we're testing all of these, and when they're not getting us results, we're turning them off, but we're letting them run for quite a long while before we turn them off. And when we find winners, we just let them sit in here, but we also promote them into the other scaling campaign. And that is how we're able to get, as you can see here, last 30 days, over 1,000 purchases. And so far this year, by using this method, you can see that we've scaled this brand by 245% in sales very profitably by using this method. So yeah, it works. And we also haven't gotten into Q4 yet. So this one is probably going to be an amazing case study. We've taken them from 5 to 7 figures. And now this year we're looking to hit multiple 7 figures. So that is all driven by profitable meta ad scaling. Now, if you are a business owner and you want someone to actually help you create, manage, and scale your ads, you can click the link in the description of this video to apply to work with me and my team. And if you have any questions, anything I discussed in this video, make sure you leave a comment below and I'll go in and answer you if you are a subscriber. So make sure you subscribe as well. Now, in all of the resources and all of the softwares that I was using to create this ad, you can find links in the description of this video. And if you want to see future videos like this and learn more about how you can scale with meta ads, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.